faced with growing farmer protests in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra as well. Prime Minister Modi met top ministers today to discuss the situation. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, will be going to Mandsaur tomorrow. That's the site of these protests in MP, where the farmers were killed yesterday, allegedly in police firing. Today, however, the protesters didn't back off and, in fact, turned violent.
Vehicles set on fire. Buses stoned, frightened commuters hiding as farmers unleash their fury on local MP buses. The farmers' protests that began in Mandsaur have spread to neighbouring Devas. A day after 5 farmers in Madhya Pradesh were killed after being allegedly shot by the police, farmers say they will not go till their demands are met, and the police admits to firing at them.
सब किसानों के पास खूब गेहूं पड़ा हुआ है और आप गेहूं के कोई भाव नहीं है सर। जब तक मांगे मान्य नहीं होगी तब तक अनिश्चित काल बंद रहेगा ये।
मंदसौर में कल गोलीकांड हुआ, किसानों को मारा गया, इसका कारण क्या पहले बताइए हमें, क्यों मारा? और पूरा समर्थन है हमारा उनके साथ, उनको सजा से सजा मिलनी चाहिए। ये शिवराज सरकार की है और शिवराज सरकार बोले जो 1 करोड़ हम 2 करोड़ देना चाहते हैं उनको, गोली खा ले।
This morning, the district magistrate of Mandsaur manhandled when he went to speak to farmers. The agitation in Madhya Pradesh began on the 1st of June with farmers demanding a higher price for their crops, especially onions and pulses like tur and moong. They also want Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan to follow the example of neighbouring UP, where the BJP government has promised to waive off all farmer loans. Tulsi Ram has 5 bighas in the village of Madhya. Last year, 50% of his soybean crop got damaged due to excessive rain. But to date, he has not got any compensation.
अब की बार फसल तो अच्छी पैदावार हुई लेकिन उसका भाव कुछ नहीं मिला।
It's the same story for many farmers. Either their crop failed or there were no buyers for a bumper crop like onion. Farmers were forced to sell produce at 2 to 3 rupees per kg. Just recently, the government raised the minimum support price to 8 rupees per kg. The agitation snowballing. Farmers are refusing to cremate their dead colleagues till the Chief Minister visits them. The situation so tense that the centre has sent additional forces to the state.
35 farmer suicides per day. To insult the intelligence of the farmers and to insult the public of India, the central government today releases 2 full-page advertisements. It claims these are the benefits we have done in 3 years.
And what are the demands? All the demands are the promises that were made by Prime Minister Modi 3 years ago.
The MP government and the centre say they are doing everything they can.
हमारी सरकार किसानों के हितों के लिए, किसान की माली हालत सुधारने के लिए 2022 तक किसानों की आमदनी दोगुनी करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है और इसके लिए राज्य सरकारों के साथ मिलकर हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
The administration have suspended internet services in Ratlam, Neemach and Mandsaur. The state government has also sought more forces to be deployed in Mandsaur to control the situation. Now it remains to be seen how soon the government led by Shivraj Singh Chauhan can contain the situation. In Mandsaur with camera person Rizwan Khan and Manish Purohit, Anurag Dwari for NDTV.
Well, farmers in neighbouring Maharashtra have also been protesting. Fortunately, these protests haven't turned violent. But here the story is very similar. Farmers say they're not getting the prices they deserve, so they stopped selling their produce altogether. And the result is a huge spike in the prices of vegetables and dairy products.
This near-abandoned vegetable market proof that the Chief Minister's promises have yet to turn into action.
This is Nasik's biggest vegetable market, which is buzzing with activity on any normal day. But for the last 1 week, not even a single truck has come into this market. The rates of the vegetables have dropped to less than half compared to the previous 2 years. And the farmers say that they don't want to sell their produce at such a minimal rate.
They have left the crop in the fields as a way of protest.
स्ट्राइक चालू है किसानों का आंदोलन, इसके लिए हम निकल नहीं रहे हो, निकलेंगे भी नहीं। उन्होंने जो बात बोली है लेकिन उसकी पॉलिसी क्लियर की नहीं है। खाली लोन माफ करेंगे लेकिन कैसा करेंगे, कितने साल तक करेंगे, इसका कोई भी क्लियरेंस दिया नहीं। इसकी वजह से हम लोग स्ट्राइक हटा नहीं रहे।
Tomato has fallen by 54%, cauliflower by 13% and ladyfinger has gone up by only 12%. The Chief Minister had said that they'd set up a committee to ensure that farmers are protected from price shock. But these farmers are impatient. They need answers now.
For now, it seems help may not be coming. We met the district administrative officials who refused to come on camera, but they admitted that they have received no information from the state as to what immediate steps to take to prevent farmers' vegetables from going to waste.
Before the strike, sales at the market ran into crores. Now it has dropped to zero. With Sonal Matharu and Rakesh Solanki in Nashik, Anusya Mathur for NDTV.
Well, actually, is this farmer distress going to end up being the biggest challenge for the Modi government? Joining us on the program tonight, Mr. Devendra Sharma is back with us, well-known food policy analyst. Mr. TSR Subramaniam, former cabinet secretary, here in the studio with us. From the Congress party, Mr. Pawan Khera, spokesperson, here in the studio. Vineet Goenka, who's a member of the BJP but is here tonight in his capacity as an IT professional who's worked in the agriculture sector for more than a decade. And we'll also be joined by Krishna Bir Chaudhary, the president of the Bharatiya Krishak Samaj, in just a little while from now. I just, before I begin, want to begin with what we woke up to this morning, which were these newspaper advertisements, and I think we've seen this online most of the day today, and this is actually ironic because on one side the newspapers had the story about MP farmers battling apathy, heavy losses, what happened yesterday, the firing that happened, and on the other side of the page was the central government's advertisement about how well the farm sector was doing. The budgets were increased and so on, and all the various schemes that have been introduced that they say have been benefiting farmers. So that actually is ironic because it comes on the day when on just the opposite side of the page you have the stories about the Madhya Pradesh farmers and what happened over there. So Vineet Goenka, let me just ask you very honestly, just obviously very bad timing, you know, to have this ad appear on the other side today. How badly is this Madhya Pradesh incident, in particular the firing, going to play out? And do you believe that now farmer distress will have to become a central issue along with jobs for the government to focus on?
See, if you see, I have one particular personal take on this. Generally, when the farmers protest, there is a way they protest and they bring their things into notices. But this is more than what a farmer would be doing. Probably there are elements which want to create law and order situation. We have seen farmers negotiating, talking to the state governments, be it be any government in such. But in this particular incidence, we could see there was manhandling of the collector and the SP there. I feel personally this is more than a protest, an incidence which has been instigated by somebody individually who wants to instigate the incidents. So this cannot be seen as to be a farmer's representation as such. There has been a fantastic
You're saying that
growth
because of the violence?
Because of the violence.
Having said that, 5 farmers are dead.
In
what appears to be police firing yesterday.
I'll tell you, death in any form to anybody, be it be farmer or anybody, in any form is condemnable. It is not good. There are two versions of this. Somebody said it is a police firing death and the police is denying this. CRPF is also denying. So I think there is a judicial inquiry which has been ordered. My personal intelligence says that we should wait for the committee to come out with the reports. We should not jump to a conclusion whether it was a police firing or something.
But having said that, the farmer distress is very real. The farmers are protesting, and therefore, do you believe, as my question was, that this is going to be the central challenge now?
No, this is not a challenge, but this is something which have to be handled. So challenges are of two types. One is which is going to disturb the entire ecology and the economy. Another one is which has to be attended to. This is something has to be attended to. I personally feel what has happened in the last 3 years is, first 2 years we had droughts, and then last year we had normal rainfall which was just 3% less than the 100 years total data. We had a fantastic crop. If you see Madhya Pradesh, I am surprised because the growth of agriculture there has been phenomenal in the last decade. It has been fantastic. There is an overproduction. I think this overproduction also leads to rates to be fallen down. The MSP which has been there has to be disturbed because there is a overproduction. The supply side is increasing. What we'll have to do is, what the government has to do is, provide for opportunities of warehousing, the cold storage, and then the market mechanism. The current mechanism which says that it should go to the APMC and then go to the consumer, I think has to be disturbed, and we'll have to introduce some kind of disruption where the farmers can directly sell it to the consumer.
But the two separate points you made there, and I'm going to come to the substance also of what you said on what needs to be done. But Pawan Khera, this is actually the BJP also officially said today that it believed that these protests are not simply farmers' protests, and that's what Vineet is saying here as well, that there are other elements that are getting mixed up in this. And I have to say that the pictures today of the way the bus, for instance, was vandalized, I mean, you know, these are unbelievable pictures. How does the Congress respond to what clearly seems to be a hint that the Congress is somehow behind this?
I'm appalled, Nidhi, I'm appalled. No, if farmers are angry, you expect them to behave in a particular manner. When they go and commit suicide, are they also being instigated to commit suicide? What nonsense is this? How long will they live in denial? Now, if a political party who is in opposition doesn't even lend its voice to people who are suffering or who have problems with policies, what do? We sit back at home just because the government will accuse us of instigating violence. I asked this Mr. Vineet Goenka, has he ever seen the history of farmer protest in this country? Does he remember the tremendous violence Delhi witnessed when farmers came here? I mean, these people have no idea of history. They are just busy resorting to shortcuts. This is a particular issue which does not interest them, does not involve them. They were never interested in addressing it because there is the other side. Now, you cannot polarize based on farmer issues. So, this government is not interested. Their priorities are absolutely simple: divide, distract and divert. And look at these arguments that farmers can never be so violent. A man who can kill himself. Look at the extremity of the violence he is going through in his head. Please look at your own house, put it in order before accusing the farmers of being instigated. They played RSS supported farmers against the rest in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh. And look at what's happened now. They have to engage with everyone.
Well, gentlemen, I would like to tell you, probably you don't know my past. I'm a farmer myself and have run an institute there. And this current thing, which I can tell you in my individual capacity and also as a learned person, that this is not done by a farmer. Probably you may not be knowing that I'm a farmer. So I know better than you that what does a farmer do and how does a farmer goes through this. So gentlemen, please understand
this. Do you know my past, Vineetji? Before commenting on this, do you know my past? Don't talk about your past. A farmer who can commit suicide can definitely go out on the roads and express his anger. If he expresses his anger against himself, you have no problem. Then it's not instigated. But if he expresses his anger against the government, it's instigated. This is nonsense.
You will have to give some patience and hearing. When you spoke, I heard it.
Pawan, let him
no patience required when you come with
Pawan, let him just finish his point
arguments.
so that I can open it up to everyone else.
I also have a past. We all belong to farmer families.
But I think Mr. Goenka, the issue here is, okay, Pawan, 1 second. I think the issue here is,
does not want to understand that this has not been done by any farmer.
Does there first need to be an acknowledgement that these protests, Pawan, 1 second, Pawan, 1 second, please.
Gentlemen, you will have to hear out. You will have to hear out the other side parties also.
Mr. Goenka, first, there has to be an acknowledgement that these protests are serious and that there is genuine farmer distress, which you seem to suggest that it is a problem but not as big as it appears to be right now.
Yeah, there are two different parts to it. The problem is genuine, okay, we'll have to address it, but this agitation is not genuine. This is how come it happens only in 2 states which has been progressing. There has been a fantastic development in the agricultural side on both in the MP as well as in the Maharashtra. See the entire backward integration which both the states have done and the forward integration which they have done. They have provided for the seed samplings, they have provided for the insurances, they have provided for trainings, they have provided for the marketplaces. Yet, if there is an agitation, that means there is somebody who wants them to go into agitation.
Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to that in what. Mr. Subramaniam, just from a policy point of view, Pawan, I'll come back to you. Pawan, give me a second. I'm coming back to you because we have enough time to talk about this. I want to ask Mr. Subramaniam, from a policy point of view, what is going wrong here? Because actually, on paper, agriculture as a sector seems to have done very well. Even in the latest GDP numbers that came out, we saw that agriculture was one of the bright spots. Why is this happening then?
If this is going to be a political program, I have nothing to say. I mean, then it's a political issue. It's the largest political issue in India.
It is a political issue, sir.
Yeah, then I have nothing to say. I mean, after all, I deal with it politically. But you wanted to know the causes, the issues, etc. This is a symptom. This is not the disease. How it happened, 5 people died, 2 people died, etc., etc., etc. For 70 years, in 61 I joined service. I heard exactly the same things. Warehousing, water, we have done none of these things. Nearly 30 to 40% is still rain fed all over India. And our seeds are terrible, our marketing has not happened, cooperative financing system has failed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least till 10, 50 years back, we talked of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Even that slogan is not being done now, it's gone. It's historical kind of a thing. You go contemptually to any economic channel, it is 15% GDP. They forget that 70% of people are there. Livelihood is there. They are feeding there now. There is huge transfer of resources continuously for the last 70 years from the rural sector to the urban sector. We have not understood the dimensions of the problem here. I now see this now. This symptom has emerged. You have already given the bait of loan waiver. You cannot now avoid loan waiver all over. You cannot then avoid loan waiver for the tiny sector all over. We are in a disastrous kind of an area. The real point I am making is, no government in the last 70 years they have taken the poor farmer for granted. They think that he will come and do, and he will come and perish, he will commit suicide, and the only technology you are going to give him is GM crops, which is going to add to the suicide rate 20 times. So the short point is, this government, on which a lot of people, huge hope is there in this government. For the first time, 20, 30, 40 years, we think people, they voted now. They won't wait more than 3 to 4 to 5 years from now. I think this government has to now go back. Stop, economy will now fly on its own. You have to go to agriculture, public health, education. This change I have not seen in the last 3 years. If that doesn't change, you will now see, I will guarantee 100 Mandsaurs in the next 3 years.
Really? You're saying that if this continues,
once the diabetes is caught on to a particular point where the tumors start coming, they multiply.
But let me ask you that you mentioned about the loan waivers. Do you believe that that's a big mistake? I mean, because here you actually had Devendra Fadnavis arguing earlier in the year that loan waiver wasn't a solution to farmers' problems. But once Yogi Adityanath did it in UP, you had other states clamoring for the same.
I don't want to look at it politically.
Yeah.
I am looking at it. I am looking at it as a substantive issue. See, I think so many things can be done even now to reverse it. The issues has been handled here, but to my mind, loan waivers only one element of 15-20 elements in the agri sector.
So, Vineet, I'll come back to you on that point. Devendra Sharma, if you could come in on this, I just want to take a point, and you heard, Mr. Subramaniam very passionately say what he felt on this. He believes that this could lead to 100 Mandsaurs in a matter of months if the government doesn't focus far more on the issue of this agrarian crisis. But what Vineet said earlier, that the issue is genuine, he doesn't believe the agitation is genuine because these two states in particular have actually shown progress. And in Madhya Pradesh's case in particular, I think many people were surprised. What would you say to that, Mr. Sharma?
Well, I think I'll like to answer your second question, whether when Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra are growing as far as agriculture is concerned, the distress seems to be something which should not be as big to cause this eruption of anger is one issue. But before that, I think what you started with, I think was also worrying, first of all, because the gentleman said that it's not a challenge to really the kind of agriculture distress prevails is not a challenge, but it's a challenge to actually handle. How do we handle it? And I think I'm worried about that because this handling has gone on for the last 70 years and agriculture has been a victim of that handling. And when I picked up the newspapers today in the morning, the 2 pages, I think is a response, is the handling response, quote unquote, which I think comes from any insensitive government. Any insensitive government which does not realize that agriculture is in a terrible, terrible distress. It's like a bomb that the country is sitting on, and it as I completely agree with Subramaniam ji, that it will blow up one day. And I think when the farmers wake up, let me tell you, the entire politics will have to undergo a change. So let's not just brush it like the way we are trying to do it. Second question about this productivity increase and so on. I have been hearing since morning that Madhya Pradesh has been growing at a phenomenal pace. So what's the problem? If the income is going up because the production is going up and productivity is going up. I think people need to get out of that ideological trap. Let me answer that now. In Punjab, which is the food bowl of the country, Nidhi, we have 98% assured irrigation. No country in the world has 98% assured irrigation. Punjab tops the chart if it was taken as a country. But even then, I want to tell you that the productivity in Punjab, you know, we are talking about Madhya Pradesh productivity going up. Let's compare with Punjab. The productivity of wheat in Punjab is 45 quintals per hectare, which is more than the productivity in America, or almost equal to that. And if you look at the productivity of paddy, rice, it is 60 quintals per hectare, almost equal to what is in China, 67 quintals per hectare. This is what the economic survey has already told us. The studies show that the productivity of cereal crops in Punjab is the highest in the world. So with the highest irrigation, with the highest productivity, a gentleman was telling us about Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is trying to catch up with Punjab. But Punjab today has become a hotspot of farmer suicides. There's hardly a day when I don't see farmers committing suicide in Punjab. Now, if their productivity is so high, why are the farmers committing suicide? I think this ideological, thinking that has gone on programming that has gone on to convince us that, a problem is with the economists, problem is with the scientists. It is not the farmers who have failed the country. It is, or they have failed the farming community. It is actually the scientists and the economists who have failed the farmers.
Well,
and they have done it deliberately. They know what they are doing. Now, tell me one thing.
Yeah.
If you look at
sorry.
Look at the income level. Mr. Subramaniam has himself Arvind Subramaniam himself has agreed that 1600 rupees is the median income of a farmer per month. 1600 rupees. I think, do we even know that most of us sitting on this show, the mobile bill would be much more than 1600 rupees?
Yeah,
Imagine,
you
can't rear a cow in 1600 rupees nowadays. I don't know how a family survives in 1500, 1600 rupees. No, so this is happening because economists knew it, because they want to keep the prices low.
So Vineet, let me get Vineet Goenka to answer that. Are you brushing it under the carpet?
The country must realize this.
Is what Devendra Shah, he made a reference to that same advertisement that I held up. That the irony of that at a time when we are already in the middle of these protests, is there not a realization or a grasp of how serious the situation is?
Well, this has to be answered by the government, because I am not representing the government, as I said in the earlier. But I would like to bring the attention that whatever happened in the 70 years, what Subramaniam ji said, I don't know about how it happened, but in the last 3 years, fantastic measures were taken in Maharashtra. Let me just count them up. They have been providing for Jalyukt Shivar. This is their non-rain fed this thing, where the water has been stored and this one. And the Jalyukt Shivar program by the Chief Minister, I think, has got up fantastically, and they have been doing very good on that. They are provided for 54,000 crore rupees as a crop loan, and then there are term loans which are more than 23,000 crore rupees. Fantastic economical support which has been given to the farmers.
But farmers are committing suicide in
Maharashtra, I'm coming on that.
MP and
irrigation
in Punjab.
If I see the entire this thing, if you see the total area which has been bought under irrigation is increasing. Now the suicides or the problem exist. Do I deny that? No. Do we have to study that and implement that? That has been done. And probably this kind of things which are going on. 19 districts been brought under the milk, the Nagpur milk dairy, which was closed by the earlier government, has been brought back. There have been efforts to bring back.
Mr. Subramaniam said that there's not an urgency and that you could face 100 Mandsaurs in months if the government doesn't.
Exaggeration, but the direction I'm talking about.
That or many more violent protests if this is not addressed more urgently.
I understand this. There is an urgency. But also we will have to understand there is a genuine interest and the genuine efforts by the government, state governments and the central government which has been done, and which I read out. There have been 3 crops. Now tell me, how many times did we have 3 crops in this particular states, which is Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh? Now this is happening for the last 2 years after the Jalyukt Shivar was been implemented. Now when you increase productivity by having 3 crops, which were traditionally 1 crop kind of districts, this will increase the productivity. We have implemented the schemes. We have just come in 2014. If this has been there, then there will be changes which will be seen in the last 2 years or 3 years. Prabhil, I will bring you to attention that there were...
Give me a second. I just
one
want to
last point, and this is the affordable energy which has been provided in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Now, what do? You provide energy, which is electricity at an affordable rate, more time.
I'm not denying anything you're saying. I think the problem is that despite all that, if farmers are coming on the street and throwing their produce there and protesting the way that they are.
I have a point there. I'll tell you. These 2 particular points. Just allow me 30 seconds.
Give me a second, because I just want to go to Krishna Bir Chaudhary, who is the president of the Bharatiya Krishak Samaj. And Mr. Chaudhary, मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहती हूँ, what is your view? Do you think the government is taking the issue of farmer distress seriously? क्या सरकार इसे seriously ले रही है कि नहीं?
देखिए, सरकार इसको सीरियसली ले रही है, महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री भी और मध्य प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री भी, चूंकि दोनों मुख्यमंत्रियों का इस प्रदेशों में क्षेत्र है जो आंदोलन की बात है। सबसे दुर्भाग्य की बात मैं ये कहूँगा कि किसानों को सड़क पर उतरना पड़ा और उसमें जो गोली कांड हुआ, ये हमारे लिए, देश के लिए, अन्नदाताओं के साथ ऐसी घटना बहुत दुखद और बहुत शर्मनाक है। दूसरी बात मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि जब तक किसानों को, आपने महाराष्ट्र की बात करते हैं, विदर्भ और मराठवाड़ा में सूखा पड़ रहा है, लेकिन आंदोलन कहाँ हो रहा है? आप उस एरिया को देखिए, अहमदनगर और दूसरे एरिया में। आप इसमें मालवा क्षेत्र है मध्य प्रदेश का, जिसको हम इकोनॉमिकली मजबूत मानते हैं, मंदसौर को, नीमच को, उज्जैन को, इंदौर को, वहाँ आंदोलन हो रहा है। आखिर ये जो आंदोलन हुआ है, इसकी जो समस्याएं हैं, क्या सिर्फ इसी क्षेत्र में हुआ है? क्या पंजाब में नहीं है? क्या हिमाचल में नहीं है? क्या पश्चिम बंगाल में नहीं है? क्या कर्नाटक में नहीं है? क्या केरल में नहीं है? हर जगह किसानों की समस्याएं हैं, हर जगह किसान कर्जे में है, क्योंकि उनको उनकी फसल का जो लाभकारी तो छोड़िए, जब उनकी लागत का मूल्य भी नहीं मिलता तो किसान सड़क पर आता है। ये आज पहली बार नहीं हुआ इस देश में, लेकिन पहली बार जो आज हुआ है, दुख की बात है। जो वायलेंस इस आंदोलन में किस तरीके से भड़काया गया है, किस तरीके से इस आंदोलन को, क्या मैं कहूं, किन शब्दों में मैं बयां करूं, मुझे दुख होता है। इस देश का अन्नदाता कभी हिंसात्मक रूप में कभी आंदोलन नहीं किया। इसके पीछे खेल क्या है? कौन सी साजिश इस किसान की आवाज को आवाज मिलाने के बजाय?
आपको क्या लगता है कौन खेल खेल रहा है?
खेल मुझे लगता है कि जो आगामी ये राजस्थान में, मध्य प्रदेश में और महाराष्ट्र, ये जो चुनाव आने हैं गुजरात में, ये सब क्या हो रहा है? और वह ये जो दूध उड़ेला गया, आप ये बताइए, क्या किसान टैंकर भर के लाए थे अमूल का? जो टैंकर था उसमें तो किसानों ने दूध दे दिया था अपने घर से, और वो लाके खोल दिया गया सड़क पर। ये बताइए ना मुझे, किसान अगर दूध फेंकना ही था, किसान अपने गाय के बछिए को पिला देता, अपने भैंस की कटिया को पिला देता। इस तरीके से दूध का अपमान किसान नहीं करता है।